Hello everyone and welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup number 150 for South Korea. It's a best of 5 series where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Cosmic Sapphire. The spawning here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones. With one of the greatest players of all time, and his name is Dark. His opponent, though, in the opposite corner, certainly the underdog in this particular series. With the red Protoss pieces, we're looking at Cyan's main Nexus. Now, Cyan, he's a very good Protoss player, okay? He's one of the best from China, actually. The rank 57 in the world overall, as of me making this video, according to a League. Normally, however, Cyan would have a pretty difficult time making it to the grand finals of an online tournament that takes place over in South Korea, for obvious reasons, because the Koreans are really freaking good when it comes to playing StarCraft 2. This particular weekly cup, though, it's a bit of an interesting one, because this match, it was played last Sunday. Now, last Sunday was also the final day for DreamHack Atlanta. I guess you could, technically speaking, play from Atlanta if you really wanted to. I'm not entirely sure, actually, if the tournament rules allow you to do so. If you compete in DreamHack Atlanta, can you play another tournament at the same time as well? Maybe if you're already eliminated? Anyways, nobody did. So the only players that participated in this week's cup over in South Korea are the ones that didn't go to Atlanta or that didn't qualify directly for the tournament. Now, Dark, he didn't have the best showing in the most recent GSL Code S, and because of that, he wasn't invited. DreamHack Atlanta also did use an open bracket, so technically speaking, he could have flown out there and then tried to qualify through that, which is what many players did. However, yeah, Dark apparently didn't decide to go, or he decided not to go, rather. And because of that, he decided to play in this weekly tournament instead. Now, because of that, I am fully expecting Dark to be the winner of this series. I haven't seen the games, of course, but I also think that we may very well see some spicy strategies because of it, because Dark obviously is not afraid to mix it up, and against someone like Cyan, he probably has a little bit more wiggle room than the conventional competition that he usually faces off against in this tournament. So guys like, for example, Björn and Kjör, Solar, Gumiho, Hero, like players that usually play in these weekly tournaments, or at least very frequently do so, they were all over in the United States. So, you know, they obviously couldn't play in this tournament. Unless they really wanted to, maybe. But the ping would have been awful anyways. Let's find out exactly what ended up going down between these two. I did cast some games of Cyan in the past, but it's been some time. So this will give us a nice update as well as to where he is currently at when it comes to playing SC2. Unsurprisingly, though, he decides to go for the Stargate. Now, I say that. I casted that series between MaxVax and Mio Maika yesterday. Small spoiler, I suppose, in case you haven't seen that one yet. But MaxVax decided to not open up with a single Stargate in those games in that series. He decided to go for a Twilight Council opener every single time, which is kind of interesting. Cyan opting to go for a Void Ray first. Another interesting thing. So this happens from time to time in StarCraft 2. So right now, nice little bit of micro right here from Dark, pulling back all of the weakened workers. This is almost mean. Oh my god, no way. Did he lose a single worker there? He did not. A little bit toxic right there. Well, toxic as in like really good micro. It's a little bit mean by Dark, almost playing with his food right there, it seems. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh right, yeah, so this happens from time to time in StarCraft 2. So right now, it seems that the best build order you can go for as Protoss against Zerg is the one where you go for a couple of Oracles and then eventually into Blinkstalker, right? That is the build that we've seen the vast majority of the time over the last half year or so. Hero popularized it some time ago, and it's what players have been going for over the last couple of months. However, because of that, Zerg players have also been facing off against that same build order many times, and they've got a lot of practice against that threat. Usually what happens over the course of a half year, sometimes a year or so, since StarCraft 2 obviously has been around for such a long time, we can, see this repeatedly, historically speaking. Players get really good at countering what is the most optimal build order, and because of that, players like, for example, Protoss recently have been forced to adapt to that style, right? They have to adapt to their most optimal build no longer being the most optimal one because the opponents are too good against it. Maybe that's the reason why we see this now going on as well. So it's a Stargate opener, a single Void Ray, into Glaive Adepts, and then on top of that, a Dark Shrine as well. So Cyan's strategy in this game is to try and just pile on the stuff. Just try and get your opponent to, yeah, hopefully get caught off guard, right? It's really quite simple, but very, very difficult to execute on the side of Zerg, right? For Protoss, you don't really have to get too fancy here, but he's decided to go for an attack wave with, well, first off, one Void Ray, so you're kind of expecting something else to come out of that Stargate, because this is a super expensive Void Ray. If you have to also take into account the cost of the Stargate, it's already a really expensive unit. Anyways, Dark right here, sniffing out that something's not quite right. He decides to march the Queens away from their hatcheries towards the other side of the map. Keep in mind, though, the Dark Shrine is about 80% of the way done at this point. Got a feeling that's going to be pretty sweet. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but the Zerglings right now on top of that shield battery. We see some corrosive balls over here on that shield battery too. Void Ray taking a ton of damage already, and that third base is super dead. Here's the Dark Shrine, though. You know what? Sometimes the best defense is the offense, right? Dark may have realized here. I don't know if he really scouted much. There's a couple of invisible men, by the way. There's no way he's going to be able to obtain the victory right here, right? I mean, he could try. Corrosive Vials can still deal a good amount of damage, but as long as the Dark Templar are here, they should slowly be able to chop away at all of those units. Dark didn't see exactly what was going on inside of that main base, but what he probably did pick up on here was the fact that there was only a single unit produced out of the Stargate. Ooh, Cyan, you gotta keep moving, my man. There you go. He must have picked up on the fact that if Protoss is only going for a single Stargate unit, like in the most recent StarCraft 2 balance patch, the Void Ray was made more expensive, right? If you're only going to make one Void Ray, and then, yeah, it's plus 150 gas and minerals for the Stargate itself, that's a very expensive unit. That Void Ray is good, but not quite that good. So Dark probably realized, you know what, if you've invested that much money into something that didn't really do a whole lot, other than kill 2 Overlords, I guess? Maybe now a third one? I mean, it's got 6 kills here because it also killed some Zerglings, and I think it's gonna get a 7th here. Yeah, not bad. Anyways, if you're spending that much money to something that hasn't really done that much to me, I'll just send the Queens across the map. Turns out, though, that the Dark Shrine, which I think was meant offensively, is the saving grace right here for Cyan, as he's now gonna be able to, at the very least, stay alive. He's not in the best economical position here, but he's also definitely not in the worst one. I mean, Dark doesn't really have that many workers. Only 52 right now at this point in the game. He's making a couple more. Income advantage is actually still looking pretty solid here. I mean, Cyan was ahead for the vast majority of the time. But nothing all too crazy. The game's actually pretty even. Those couple of Dark Templar helping out quite a bit. And this game so far is delivering. Yeah, I'm glad to see this. So, where are we going to go from here, Dark? Are we just going to go into a standard Zergling Road Ravager style? Is that the approach? Okay, 4th hatchery coming up as well. Fair enough. In the meantime, Cyan is going to go for the Robo facility as well, because when it comes to all of the different tech that he had, he didn't have a Robo facility yet. So he had a Forge, he had a Stargate, a Twilight Council, decking up in every direction except for the Robo facility, which I think is an excellent choice. A lot of really good utility you can get out of the structure. Of course, the War Prism comes out of it, the Observer comes out of it, the Immortal Colossus, and all the rest. And, well, the Disruptor, that's all the rest. But anyways, there's an Immortal coming up right now, which is going to be fantastic against that Roach-based army that Dark is going for. Although Dark already thinking of teching up here, going for the Infestation Pit. He has seen his opponent's army at this point, so he's seen that it's a Archon, Stalker, you know, probably Immortal-based army very soon. And if there's one unit that's really, really good against that, it is, of course, the Brute Lord. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be seeing some Brutes coming up shortly here for Dark. He'll probably go into a Hive together with a Greater Spire. Well, usually you start up the Hive and then a Spire at the same time, and then you go from there. Is that what we're going to do? Ooh, no, that is not what we're gonna do. Ooh, okay, that's also an option, but once again, a bit of a spicy one. After the Queen March, Dark has decided to go for the Nidus network, while also going for 15 Swarm Hosts. Okay, then. I mean, that is an option. I would love to see a Robo Bay from Cyan here to go for some Colossus play. He's decided to, for now, go for the Shadow Stride research. So Shadow Stride allows him to blink around his Dark Templar. It's going to be great, but That's an harassment tool, right? It's going to be very difficult to reliably pull that off against Swarm Host. Well, now he sees them for the first time. Couple of Locusts over here activated. What is the transition going to be right here from Cyan? Well, first off, he needs to stay alive. Yeah, actually, that first Locust wave could be terrifying. Good micro right here from Dark. Once again, keeping as many of those units alive. Okay. The problem with the Swarm Host, of course, is that the Locusts are on a cooldown. Excellent control here by Cyan as well, by the way. Really, yeah, dodging the vast majority of the damage. Problem is that this fourth base is not going to happen. Good cancel. But that base is not going to happen at this point in the game. And it's really quite difficult to play against that Swarm Host base force, right? So the Swarm Hosts, they are on a cooldown. Every once in a while, they can shoot a Locust across, well, 2 Locusts across the screen, and it deals a tremendous amount of damage. One of the downsides of the Swarm House, however, is the fact that it's very heavy in supply. And obviously, while it's on cooldown, it can't deal any damage. So right now, Dark is already maxed out, but this is probably one of the worst, quote-unquote, worst maxed out armies you can have. It's still maxed out, but this is as good as it's going to be, other than maybe some upgrades. If Cyan can get maxed out, his army is going to be, it's going to be way better. So, yeah, he's recalling the Immortals right now. Another cancel right there on the 4th Nexus. It's up to Dark at this point to try and slow down the advancement right here of that Protoss force. And honestly, he's doing an exceptional job at that so far. Just constantly denying the economy is a really good way to start. Even a couple of Spine Crawlers over here also set up, together with a Spore Crawler and a couple Roaches. If Dark Templar, blink or no blink, if they decided to come up, yep, I love the Spines here. If they decided to come over here, there's not a whole lot that the Zerg... Well, he's not going to take a whole lot of damage from it. He is going to go for a ton of Dark Templar. I wonder if those units should have been warped in at home instead. Anyways, we're going to find out together. Those Spine Crawlers over here are not done just yet. Here's another Locust Wave. Moving towards the 3rd base of the Protoss right now, and that is so much damage. Battery Overcharge is nice. Dark Templar, in the meantime, though, are tearing apart a mineral line. You know what? Not bad at all. Problem is, Dark has resources to spare, right? I mean, he doesn't have a lot of money, but he's got another base that he's mining from. He's already maxed out. He's not really in a very desperate scenario here. That was a good amount of damage, though, yeah? Getting 11 drones, and on top of that, apparently a whole lot of those... another hatchery over here as well. It's not bad. In the meantime, though, at home, 2 Archons have fallen. 3 Immortals have gone down as well. I'm a little bit afraid for the next wave. Alright. Apparently Lurkers are going to be the next step right here in Dark's plan. So Dark is by no means sticking around on the unit composition that he's got right now. Constantly teching. He has another Locust Wave. He's had a Nidus Worm over here, but I don't think he ever used it. Creep spread in this direction, though, looking pretty sweet. So, the Swarmo's not really having a hard time to get on over in this direction. And every time we see a Locust Wave, we see Protoss units dying. Supply count, rather than going up, is going down right now for Cyan. Which is really not what we want to see from Protoss at this point in the game. Can't believe Dark started off this game with a Queen March, then went straight into Swarm Host, and is now going into a Hive, together with Lurker upgrades. So Cyan here evidently is sticking around on a ground-based army. He could have gone for a Skytos one, I suppose, if he, scouted it a little bit sooner, the Swarm Host transition, that is. So, I don't even know if we really need any of those Lurkers at this point, but yeah, whatever he's got on the ground, it's gonna die. Game number 2. We find ourselves on the map Waterfall. It's kind of interesting to me that the Swarm Host is considered to be the worst Zerg unit. However, whenever it's made in the right situation at the right time, it can deal a tremendous amount of damage. I'm not even entirely sure if the previous game, did he just... Ooh, okay. He canceled the Warp Gate research to go for a quicker Stargate. Interesting. This is definitely something that Dark will scout, though. Yeah, Dark just even clicked on the Cybercore there for a second. So he knows what's going on. Okay. Yeah, you're not going to trick Dark so easily, Cyan. Anyhow, yeah, Swarm Host. I mean, I'm not saying the Swarm Host needs a buff, by the way. If anything, I almost feel like the Swarm Host need a nerf, because in the situations that we see them, they are ridiculously strong. It's just that they're a very particular unit, right? Like, historically in StarCraft 2, we've had a couple of units with that free unit design. And free unit design, I don't think, like, if anyone who's developing an RTS is listening to this cast by any chance, I don't think free unit design is a good choice for a real-time strategy game that's meant to be played competitively, because it is an absolute disaster to balance. I guess Brute Lords do it kind of well, right? But the Swarm Host has always been an awkward unit. Whenever it was, like, in line with strength of the other units, it was the only thing that Zerg players played, because historically speaking, it's gone through a lot of iterations. Yeah, it's always been an interesting one. Anyways, a couple of Zerglings just running into base and being annoying. All of these, though, will get cleaned up, and if Dark didn't pick up on the fact that the warp gates got cancelled for a little bit, well, he's seen the Stargate right now, and he knows exactly what it is he's going up against. It's gonna be an Oracle. Oracle already activating its pulsar beam, though, so the energy right now is draining. Ugh. Dark really is the stereotype of the best defense is the offense, right? Like, he is regularly in the opponent's face to just, well, shut down their aggression. Not really the way that most of the top-level Zerg players play, but... There were, by the way, a couple of people missing from DreamHack Atlanta. The ones that come to mind to me are Raynor. Raynor apparently decided to... I don't think he told anyone why he didn't decide to go, but he had a reason why he decided to skip this particular event. Some personal reason. And then Dark, well, he apparently didn't qualify through Codes, and he didn't want to bother with, I guess, the open bracket. And then Max Specs from Europe, although, you know, even if he did qualify, I don't think he would have gone. In case you're unfamiliar, Max Specs doesn't play in offline tournaments for some reason. I mean, maybe. Every time he does qualify for one, I'm like, ooh, maybe this time? For some reason, he doesn't. Oracle's over here, now getting a little bit of damage in. Yeah, 6 workers is not bad, but it came at the cost of 2 adepts. And then also a lot of base health right here on this Oracle. Not entirely sure what the Overlords are doing. Yeah, it's a little bit ambitious. Big misplay right here, actually, from Dark. After losing that many workers... Here we go again. After losing that many workers... I don't think he can really afford losing a bunch of Overlords as well, so apparently he's decided, you know what, gotta save the Ovies. We'll send the Queens across. Yes, Queen. Let's go. So keep in mind, Queens can no longer transfuse off creep. Unless, well, there's creep brought to this party, which I don't think there ever will be. Dark making a ton of Overlords right now. It's all a little bit messy. Anyways, he's just sending whatever he's got towards the other side. This is not too good, though. Maybe? Yeah, Ravagers can really change the tide of battle, but I am liking this position, I think, for Cyan a little bit more than in the previous game. Although he really needs to warp in some reinforcements. Battery overcharge is so good, though. That's a lot of shield batteries. I mean, we have a shield battery for every Protoss unit right now. Can we warp in some units? How many gateways do we have? We've got 4 gateways. Hello? No? Okay. He's got money. He's got supply. Guess he's busy microing the units. There's another Oracle using its pulsar beam, but yeah, the amount of shield batteries really makes this defense quite a bit more straightforward. Blink is just about to finish up as well. Yeah, you know what? Is Dark actually pulling a rabbit out of a hat? No, he's not. Nah, he's not. Nah, he's not. I mean, a lot of this push, though, there's another Overlord. Ay, Dark, what's going on right now? I think Dark is playing with one hand. A lot of the reason why this push, though, doesn't really work so well on this map is because of the map layout, right? Like, he had to go over here and then around the corner, which just buys Protoss so much time. It's not a push we normally see on this map. Honestly, the creep spread is also looking very mediocre. That is 6 Overlords going down so far in this game. Look at the cost inefficiency. Alright, Dark certainly on the back foot at this point. Come on, Cyan, you can do it. Pave the way, put your back into... Okay, he's saving that one Stalker as well. Love to see it. I think we gotta go. I think we gotta go, Cyan. We've got Blink done. We've got 6 gateways. Yeah, we've got a proxy pylon. Oracles are still up in the air. Good control right here from Cyan in that fight, by the way. Honestly, his control in this series so far has been really solid. Good amount of energy available as well again on those Oracles. We'll probably see them activating their attacks in just a moment. But he doesn't even really need it so... you know what? No, he does kind of need it. He's probably trying to... Like, it takes some energy to activate, too. He's even gone for a gateway over here in the middle of the map. Good Blink Stalker control, though. Yeah, one of the queens goes down. The main problem at this point for Dark is the fact that his economy is kind of terrible. Yep. WW is called. And with that, Cyan gets a point on the board. Game 3 in this best of 5 series. It takes place on the map Data C. Excellent game just now by Cyan. Not really making a whole lot of mistakes as far as I could tell, though. He was a little bit late with some of the reinforcing warp-ins during that fight at the third base. At the very least, it seemed to me that he was a little bit late. Maybe the warp gates were on cooldown, but I think he probably could have, well, optimized them a little bit better. Either way, though, let's be honest. Let's call it as it is. Dark playing a very sloppy game, too. Honestly, that shouldn't happen at this level of play. So... let's talk about that for just a second. What exactly went wrong for him? So first off, he ended up losing 6 drones to 2 adepts and 2 oracles. That is quite a bit, especially if you want to go for an aggressive push. Then he also lost like 2 to 3 overlords before that fight ever took place. And then during the battle, he lost a couple overlords, I guess, and he was worried of getting a supply block. But I think he made like 5 or 6 overlords at once. I mean... none of that really made a lot of sense if you're trying to obtain the victory as quickly as possible. It all just seems a little bit shaky. Anyway, it's going to be a Stargate opener right here from Cyan. Although, this time around, he definitely started up the Warp Gate research and he didn't cancel it. So this is a delayed Stargate. Fair enough. So there's an Overlord over here, but I don't think it's going to be able to get too much scouting information now that there's already a Stalker out. If he wants to see this Stargate, he's going to have to go right now, because that is quite the travel through the main base of the Protoss. Nah, he's not going to be able to pull that off anymore. Roach Warren comes up. 3.5 minutes. That is a pretty quick Roach Warren. More queens are coming up as well. Nothing all too crazy right there. Dark looking around the map as well to see if there's any hidden proxies. Using those Zerglings here to the best of his abilities. Okay. It's once again a Void Ray. I'm not the biggest fan of Void Rays, okay? Now, I'm probably wrong because I've seen Hero play this. I've seen Zaun play this. I think MaxPax went for it once as well, if I recall correctly. So, I must be wrong. But what exactly does this Void Ray achieve that, like, an Oracle wouldn't, right? So, he's going for an Oracle on the back of this. This is kind of like a Viking at this point, right? Now, the Viking obviously not as expensive as a Void Ray. Overlord hiding right here from the Void. Oh, no. Anyways, it's a very expensive Viking, and oftentimes it doesn't really get that much done. Ooh, he sees it. No! Oh, he sees it, but he didn't see. He didn't notice. That's a little bit of a shame. There were Zerglings in the meantime at the front as well. I wonder if Dark timed those perfectly to try and keep Ovi alive. Anyways, so now this Void Ray has achieved literally nothing. Yeah, just as an Overlord sniper, I don't really like it too much. I guess it keeps you kind of safe at your third base and all that, but I don't know. I feel like Oracles are just better overall. Or even Phoenixes. Like, you could just go for a Phoenix build if you really want to. Although Phoenix is right now really not part of the meta in Protoss versus Zerg at all. Now, if you go for like an Oracle after the Void Ray, I guess it can sometimes be decent. But this Oracle has now achieved nothing. This Void Ray, hey, look, it's finally getting something done. But this is a pretty expensive set of units that Cyan invested in that he's not really getting anything out of. And this time around, you're not going up against the cheeky Dark, it seems, okay? No queens running across the map. We saw a very safely timed Roach Warren and now into a lair as well. He's going to have everything that he ever wanted in a game of StarCraft 2. He's going to be playing a macro game. So, good luck against that, Cyan. See how it goes. I am interested to see how it will go down, but I'm honestly a little bit concerned. Because in my mind, Dark is one of the very best macro players in the world. And that's because he is, so it's not just my mind. No, he's one of the very best macro players in the world, but yeah, facing off against him in a straight-up game seems difficult to me. So he's going to go for some gateway production right now. Okay, Immortals are already out. Good Zergling scout over there, though. It's going to be a Spire here from Dark. Okay. So that's something we've seen Serral play quite a bit as well, where it's Roach Ravager into Mutas. But Cyan is going to go for a 3-base push. He's certainly going to need his Prism, so that one is Not even remotely done just yet. There's no observer up in the... No, there is an observer up in the air. Okay, I was gonna say. Why is that prism so late? Doesn't make a lot of sense. That's because he made an observer first. Okay, so he's gonna be able to... he's at the very least gonna be able to clean up some of those creep tumors. That's nice. He's just marching around. It's difficult for Zerg at this point to know if this is gonna be a big push. I think it is going to be a big push. He was just waiting for the prism to come out, but sometimes it looks like this is just a little hit squad to try and contain the creep. There's another immortal starting up as well. Okay, well, if you're not going to push, Dark is gonna have about a dozen mutas available here in about a minute. So you gotta be very, very careful here, Cyan. There's obviously no blink here. So without blink, what exactly are you gonna get done? He does have a Twilight Council, so that's nice. He starts up charge first. Okay, so Cyan wants to go for an attack as soon as those two upgrades finish up, and then add Archons into the mix as well. The problem is, there's the mutas coming up. That would work really well if Zerg was just kind of sitting here. So he's got a good amount of units. It was indeed just for cleaning up some creep, and that Zergling just now scouted that the army is back home. I am very concerned for these mutas, because there has not really been any scouting. So, Adept over here. Okay, maybe these Adepts can scout the Spire. Oh, actually, the Spire's over there. That's a Roach one. Yeah, no, he doesn't know much. There go the flippy flappies. Straight across the map. Knock, knock. Who's there? Pain. Pain is the only thing that's arrived just now. Yeah, so he's gonna warp in some Stalkers here defensively. Problem is, that is a lot of workers going down in a very short amount of time. And obviously those mutas are gonna come back in for more. If you send too much of your army in that direction, this Roach army, well, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes on over right there. Go. Go. Go! Okay, maybe not. Maybe, okay, now it's too late. It's too late. Okay, he's gonna go. Oh, man, now there's 3 of these Immortals, though. Now the mutas have decided to show up as well. Elucidated Colossus will definitely change everything. But it's not gonna scare Dark all too much, especially since he has an Overseer here, so you can see that it's an hallucination. Okay, good amount of damage here being done. All the heavy hitters from Protoss are being cleaned up. But you know what, Cyan, actually? His crisis management looking solid here overall. Starts up Blink right now. If you would have gone Blink first rather than Charge, I would have liked this so much better. But I think that's because he wanted to go for an attack. So Dark must have realized that the opponent wanted to go for an attack, so he decided to go after the units instead of the economy right there. Reading his opponent like a book. Now he's gonna double down on the muta production and even go for the +2 flyer attacks. Oh my god, that sucks, man. These guys want to blink towards the low ground so bad. I mean, we're getting to the point where mutas can even start contesting the Stalkers, yeah. In one-on-one fights. That is so many mutas. We're talking 30 mutalisks at this point. So technically speaking, actually, Stalkers are good against mutas in smaller numbers. But since mutas can stack up together like that, right? They can clump on top of one another. When you're going against the big balls of mutas, you can't actually get that much done with just a group of Stalkers. I mean, Blink's still not done at this point in the game. Would love to see a Chrono Boost there, but I guess he's desperately trying to rebuild his economy. GG is just simply cold, as Dark is absolutely smashing Cyan. Alright, next up, we find ourselves on Stargazers. Cyan just sent out a really quick probe towards the other side of the map, and he forced his opponent to go for a 3rd hatchery rather than the natural first. Cybercore just got planted down, and I'm assuming we're gonna see a Nexus. There we go. In a straight-up game, it seems that Dark just simply has Cyan's number. Dark just one bridge too far in a macro game. And you can't really blame him for that. It's just, you know, the nature of StarCraft 2. This is the case with other sports as well, but when you're talking about a top 5 player versus like a top 50 player, the skill difference is significant. Significant enough for it to be obvious in a straight-up game. So I like this little move right here from Cyan quite a bit. Going for a quick proxy pylon. Are we gonna proxy a Stargate? Oh, no. Okay, he's been very fond of Stargates so far in this series, but he's gone for only a single gas geyser, actually. He's gone for the Warp Gate research, so that probably means he really wants to Chrono Boost this, but obviously, once again, we have the peeping Overlord. Always looking. Always making sure he knows exactly what he's going up against. It's annoying, so he's not going to be able to get that chrono done on the warp gates, at least at this point in time. But you know what? He's ready to go across the map. Zealot over here. Ooh. Almost ends up going down, but good control once again by our Chinese Protoss. Can he get a tumor? Come on, one more. Nice. Excellent. That's what we want to see. Okay, so this is going to be a very aggressive build from Cyan, and I think that's the right call. I think in a situation where you're the underdog, I don't think it's a bad idea at all to go for more cheesy strategies. As a matter of fact, that's why I believe that Rotterdam thinks I'm a cheeser on the StarCraft 2 ladder myself. Every time I meet Roddy and we talk about StarCraft, which we do pretty much all the time, he pretty much always brings up the fact that I'm a cheeser on the ladder, according to him, which in my mind is not the case. So here's the thing, right? I macro, I feel like 80% of my games. However, whenever I face off against someone who's like, 400 plus more MMR than me, yes, I know very well that in a macro game, I am not the favorite. So why not cheese him and try to go for a bit of a quick victory? You know what? Some people say that it's not a fair way of winning the game, but StarCraft 2 doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about MMR, okay? MMR is the only thing that matters. That's exactly what, well, Cyan in this case, I guess, is going for prize money. Even better than MMR. Anyways, he's gonna go for a shade-in right here towards his opponent's, well, natural third, whatever you want to call it, because that third base is right over there. Good control, though, by Dark. It's gonna be a Glaive Adept follow-up, so that is a 45% attack speed on the Adept. Really nice. Well, Dark has already scouted the Twilight Council. So, like... Dark hasn't scouted this, so he doesn't know exactly what's happening, but he'll probably figure that out in just a moment. Additional warpins now being used over here as well. Yeah, he must realize that those Adepts came from somewhere, right? He's looking. Yeah, he's looking. Okay, there you go. Dark is so good, man. So he wants to push as soon as this upgrade is done. Problem is, by the time that upgrade is done, there's gonna be roaches. They start up right away here. Dark even going for a Spine Crawler too. One problem here for Zerg is that he doesn't know if it's gonna be a Dark Templar follow-up. So we saw that earlier in this series as well, so Dark will need to get some sort of detection here. Yeah, within about probably half a minute from now. I would probably say 5:45-ish. Probably be a good time to have detection out. I mean, he would need to start up a... Okay, he's already got one spore over here. One spore. Interesting. I'm expecting to see another spore crawler over here, but maybe not. Maybe he's going to take the gamble. Two groups of Adepts. A little bit disconnected from one another, though. Yeah. Okay, I think we're gonna wait for another warp in. There's additional gateways finishing up, which Dark scouts right now as well. I like how Dark sees things faster than me, even though I'm the one observing the game, and I have full vision of everything that's going on. I mean, obviously, if you switch over to Dark's vision... Is this Dark's vision? Yeah, this is Dark's vision right here. He's switching screens a little bit more frequently than I am. Let's actually look at this fight from his perspective. So warping inside of the main base. Units over here at the third base as well. He's actually a little bit... Okay, I'm going to take control of the camera again. He's a little bit indecisive here. Zerglings in the main base, though. Okay, they at the very least deny the shade towards the mineral line. At the same moment, there's also a push happening over here. But those Adepts decided to go backwards. Did he lose... Okay, he lost a couple drones. But nothing all too crazy. That is an awful lot of Adepts, though. And at this point, the Adepts can actually start contesting their Roaches and Ravagers directly as well. Yeah, look at the Queens. They fire really quickly. Yeah, they have a flat amount of damage that's just solid. I think they get, like, +1 damage for versus light. Is that what it is? I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But it's something along those lines. They actually have just really solid damage per second in straight-up combat. I mean, they're not as nice as Zealots, I suppose, in a... you know, a fight against other units, but they're still gonna be pretty damn great. So far, though, I don't think that these Adepts have paid for themselves. Like, they're a little glass cannon-y, right? So, as soon as there's a good chunk of Zerg units out and you're charging or shading into a bunch of Roaches, they tend to shut you down. And now there's also Banelings coming up, which I think is an excellent choice. Roach Ravager, Ling Bane, certainly. Like, half of those units are already good against Adepts, but all of those units combined, if you can afford it, are absolutely going to shut down Adepts. Now we have to follow up here that we've seen quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. It gets scouted right again by Dark. He's decided to go for... We need to see a lair though, right? Yeah, he's decided to go for a Disruptor transition. That's... Yeah, okay, that's another Baneling Nest. I don't think that's what we need. I think what we need is a lair, yeah. Lair starts up at this point together with an Evolution Chamber. Against slow roaches. Okay, it's a little bit tricky still. Against slow roaches, the Disruptors are going to be amazing. I'm assuming that's the plan anyways. He's seen Banelings at this point, so that might also be a chance. Yeah, but no, it's going to be Disruptors. Okay. Dark Nexus, by the way, acquired here at the same time. Pretty good start, though, for Cyan, all things considered. I mean, he didn't throw away the units. He didn't also kill that many workers, though. Yeah, it's not... Yeah, no, you know what? I take it back. I said it was a pretty decent start, but... Now you're playing a macro game against Dark, which... Also not quite ideal. Trying to soak up a couple of those Banelings. Not bad. The problem is, right? Now it's Dark's time to make a move. Like, now Dark is the one that gets to decide what he wants to do. He decides to go for the +1 melee upgrade together with the Roach Speed. Okay. There's an Infestation Pit. Now is actually a pretty good time to go into Swarm Hosts. Like, Swarm Hosts are pretty good whenever you're in a situation where you want to try and, like, hit your opponent in the face repeatedly after they made a mistake, right? That's what Swarm Hosts are really good at. Whenever you're in a game-leading position, Swarm Hosts are excellent. Okay, Cyan actually going for Colossi right now. That's interesting. Maybe this is going to be for Hive, though. That's obviously also a great alternative. Made some Ravagers. Yeah, I think he maybe wanted to make that transition towards other tier units, or higher tier units, but he saw a little bit of a move out right there from Cyan, and he probably didn't want to spend the money. Okay, there's the Disruptor drop. But Cyan has started building up his own Death Ball here as well. Very nice. There's a Protoss army arriving at the 4th base of the Zerg. It's not looking that menacing yet, but yeah, Cyan seems to have a very good sense of when he needs to back off in fights and how far he can actually go. Second Robo facility coming up, okay. Don't mind seeing that. And now he's gonna go for the pocket base as well, so this is a easy to take 4th base. Actually, I like that he saved this one for a rainy minute. He decided to take it pretty late. Okay, now actually it's gonna go for... Okay, he's gonna go for it. Anyways, he decided to go for this base over here. It's the 3rd instead, and now he's got this one still ready to go, which is sweet. Dark is comfortable playing a wide variety of playstyles. So that's probably why he didn't decide to go for a Swarm Host transition again, because his opponent just played against that a couple minutes ago. It can be very easy to make that choice, but... Instead he decides to go for a Hive, +2 melee, Adrenal Glands coming up. I don't think you want to go into any Ultras though. I mean, he doesn't have a transition ready to go into anything else. No Greater Spire. No Lurker Den. Ultras? Really? Oh no, Dark. Okay, so theoretically speaking, Ultras can be great if the opponent does not have Immortals, right? So there is a chance that Cyan right now sees the Ling Bane count. Yeah, he's going up to 5 Colossus. He needs to be very careful. That is more than we normally see. Normally we see 3, maybe 4. 5 is a lot. If there's not a whole lot of Immortals available, he's got 2 right now. So already pretty good chunk, actually. Anyways, if he does like another 2 groups of 2 Immortals, so he goes up to like 6, Ultras get absolutely murdered. And this is actually a great opportunity for Cyan to go for an attack, but of course immediately Dark goes in for what seems to be a counter push as well, using Corrosive Biles here on the bridge, trying to prevent his army from advancing easily. Colossus gets caught, okay, by the units that it counters. Hate to see that. We do definitely need to see the Ultralisk Cavern upgrades, though. There was a game not too long ago where that upgrade was forgotten in the same map. And don't like seeing the chitinous plating, or the lack thereof. Okay, well, you know what? Zerglings are cheap, but they're not free. Now they're getting quite a bit of work done, though, in that mineral line. But that isn't... Yeah, no, that isn't quite worthwhile at this point in the game. There's chitinous plating finally starting up. Stalkers have decided to go over the little mineral wall here, and they're now harassing the Zerg's main base. Careful, though, because there could always be a big Zergling surround, right? Yeah, there's already Banelings running on over in this direction. Maybe not worth it to go with Banelings here, but... if that big group of Zerglings was still available, I think he would have made a move. Cyan, though, still not aware. I mean... oh, my God. Really? He uses the Diva announcer? That was not great. That was not great at all for Zerg. Anyways, he hasn't seen the Ultra Cavern. I mean, he saw it, but he didn't click on it. At least I don't think he did, because he's not making any reaction or any indication that he has seen what he's going up against soon. 3 Ultralisk are coming up. Ultralisk are normally only played against Skytos, which I would explain, but I don't think that situation really is called for at this point, because we have a big fight. Okay, well, the Ravagers get absolutely denied. The Zerglings get absolutely murdered. He wants to kill those Immortals really bad, but also they do stay alive for a little bit longer. Cyan, though, in the meantime, is losing everything at home. This is where the Zerglings have been counter-attacking, right? And Cyan is therefore on a massive timer. Now, ooh, the classic skinned Ultras. They look so funky to me. There are 4 Immortals, though. I think Cyan actually knew. No, I actually think that Cyan was aware of this already, but now the Zerg army is collapsing on top of this Protoss force. Is there enough for the Protoss player to actually kill this army, but most importantly, kill it to a point where it can continuously deal damage here on the other side of the map? Because there's not a whole lot going on at home anymore. Some excellent prism control, microing back the weakened Protoss units. But at this point, the Zerg production is a little bit too much. And it's indeed Dark who obtains the victory in the ESL Open Cup Korea number 150.